Hey, what's up, gang? It's another crypto update. Philip with Trade Genius here, and we're updating for August 9th. So, SegWit locked in, and we're good to go. So, we're in activation period 20, and basically what will happen is now we're going to get into the next period. I'm sorry, we're in activation 20. It locked in period 20. There was 26 activation periods that SegWit had to lock in order for the network to say, okay, we're going to implement SegWit blocks. So period 20 ends technically tomorrow, but we met the threshold already, the 95% threshold, earlier yesterday, Tuesday, and so we're in. So now the next thing that happens, we go into the next period, and that's going to take us to about August 22nd, 23rd, somewhere in there. I have to double check. When that happens, SegWit blocks will be mined on the network. SegWit will be live. Okay, so we've gone through all the steps. I think you've seen price rejoice that we're past August 1st, and nothing critical happened. So pretty much what we figured would happen. Bitcoin Cash, the fork, the altcoin, it's actually worth a fair amount of money, $200-300 at the moment, and it could pop. And I actually will show you on a chart why I think that might happen. But other than that, it's just an altcoin, and Bitcoin continues to go higher. We will look at charts. One thing I wanted to show you guys was an article came out on Zero Hedge, and you guys can check it out for yourselves. But I just wanted to point it out to you guys. Russia is and it's actually an aid to Putin. They're going to open up a huge mining facility. Something it might be a segue into them looking at it as a reserve currency. Who knows? But they are obviously looking at dollar alternatives. And without getting political, I think for Bitcoin holders, investors, things like that, this is good for two reasons. One, you got a sovereign nation accepting it, right? Because there's always the argument of, oh, well, what if the countries shut it down? But with the amount of acceptance going on, that's just not going to feasibly happen at this point. Japan, India, other countries have recognized it as legal tender. So anyway, with Russia doing this, basically what we're going to see now is that we're going to have more of a decentralized mining of the hash power, right? So the concern was, so much hash power is coming out of China. There's a centralized aspect of that. That was not what Bitcoin was about. Bitcoin was about being decentralized, and so I think that's a very positive thing as far as spreading out the hash power. And China has huge amounts of excess, power, cheap power. So I think that's a good thing. Second, they're going to be producing it. I'm sure they're going to be holding some as well. So I think that's a good thing if you're a Bitcoin investor, and I think it's a good thing for the cryptocurrency space. And if you're, a proponent of decentralized currencies, I think that's a step in the right direction. So anyway, just wanted to bring that out. That came out a little while ago, actually, a few hours ago. So we'll see how that impacts price. I think that's a pretty important announcement. The other thing was Overstock came out and said they were accepting Litecoins. I think we might have covered that in the other video. So that being said, let's take a look at some price charts and see kind of where we're at. Here is Bitcoin, the big boy, hourly and daily. And as you can see on the daily, as we're still looking at this big fib range where we came up 3,000 just about, and this is where all the SegWit mayhem happened. We bottomed out. So this 35-34 area would be our target for this move, and starting to get toppy on the stock RSI. RSI not super toppy, but getting there. On the hourly, we'd be looking at probably nothing extreme there. We could chop. I suspect it's going to stay in this channel, but I do expect this. We're shy of that target by about $50. So I expect that to get tagged and stay in this channel, if not break out of it in the month of August. August looks to be very bullish because of all these issues that are out of the way and some pent up sideline money getting back into the crypto space. Okay, Ethereum has had an excellent run up. Again, on the dailies here, we're looking from the highs to the lows. Here's a big fib area that it's bounced off of, but it's also going into a big bearish fib area. And so your 520 would be, if this move, ABC move, played out, 520 would be the target. Again, it's subject to ICOs. People, if ICOs are launching, people will buy Ethereum to get into the ICOs. ICOs then launch, release the tokens, and then you see a sale of the tokens. And so, Ethereum will have that sloshing around because of that dynamic. So somebody asked me, do I think it's going to go up to 520? Unless a lot of money flows into crypto as a whole, and a lot of money, I could see it kind of bouncing around in this area. 520 in August would be more than I would expect, put it to you that way. Shorter term, we were way oversold on both the RSI and the stochastics, and I was looking for a pullback. Plus, we were into this bearish fib zone. Usually when they're that big, it takes a few times to get through it. So pulling back to these daily averages would not surprise me one bit. Again, the black line are WMA 20. That's kind of like our momentum line. And then once you break that, then you start looking at the 65 for support. We also have this trend line. So that's kind of the current status of ETH at the moment. I think if we pulled back to 240, that would not surprise me. But we actually do have a fib range here that may actually be a more realistic target, and we can draw that real quick, and that would be taking us to make this a long fib. So yeah, would take us into this like 270 to 255 area. So if we bounced in there, wouldn't be surprising. If that broke, then I'd look for support at the 240 area, which would be about here. Okay, and let's take a look at Litecoin. Okay, so Overstock said they were going to take it. Shortly thereafter, we saw some major movement up, and 50 has been this barrier. I think the first time we went through 50, if you can see it over here on the daily, and that's where we kind of started making this uptrend channel that we're in. Then I said that we would continue to stay in, and I still say we're going to see $68 to $70. That being said, 50 is going to be resistance, but when this goes, and I believe it will, expect it to pop. I would not be surprised to see it pop back and test all-time highs fairly quickly. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I think this moves higher. Okay, let's take a look at, and that being said, after that pop, I expect a little bit of a break because we are overbought on the daily, on the RSI and the stochastics. Okay, all right, now Bitcoin Cash. I think it's recovered pretty well. If you look over here, see the volume areas. So if I think we covered this in the last video. We get above 12, we could see it boogie up into this larger fib zone in this 16 to 18 area. Keep in mind that August 14th, Poloniex will airdrop coins. So I would suspect that Poloniex has tens of thousands of users. So I would suspect that we'd see probably some sell pressure at that time. But I think longer term, if you hold this, if we got back up into the 20s, that would not surprise me at all. I think it's a Chinese altcoin, and I think I would they're gonna be into it. Okay, so if you held it to look for those levels, I don't blame you. If you wanted to get out ahead of the 14th, I don't blame you either. I'm sure there's going to be enough volatility. I think this is going to move. It'll be valued much less, but I think it would not surprise me to see the type of movement that you see with Bitcoin, with peaks and valleys. So, could be a good ratio type coin to trade. Okay, looking at an altcoin, Neo. I like Neo. Neo had some news that this is a Chinese blockchain project. It's been around for a while, gaining some traction now. And as you can see here, we it changed from Ant shares. Okay, so this is like they changed the name to Neo, so the charts changed over, so we're kind of truncated. But you can see after the first boom, all the money came off the sidelines. That tells you there's a lot of money going into this, and they came out of it for the snapshot, for the blockchain snapshot. A lot of money came into it, so we had a nice pullback to these fib levels. If this ABC moves plays out, we're looking at 0075 area. So, and I believe that will probably play out based on this price action and volume. They did have news out about an ICO, their first ICO on the Neo chain. So it's similar to like how Ethereum, how you can have projects that run on it. So I think that's when that news cracked, we saw this bounce. So it kind of coincided with some technical levels. So I think I'm bullish on that. I think that it's got some upside. The other one, the other altcoin we'll cover. There's a few more, but just for these, and we'll do some more in other videos. But Digibyte, Digi. So Digi. Let's change this to a. Let's do daily on this one. Oops, daily. Okay, so we're in a pennant. Fully expecting this to break up. You see that the stock is getting to that point. This breaks up, and I think we run right up to this 16-17 area. So we're just consolidating in there. But as you can see, here's the highs that we were at 2650. So there's that's a 4-time move that we're looking at, and I think we see it. So if we crack down to the hourly, basically we're just bouncing off now this formed pennant area. I would like to see this maintain into like a inverse head and shoulders type bottom, and then take out this 570 area, and then it's got to hit this fib zone and this 06, the 601 resistance. If it moves back to that, it's definitely going to head up to this upper part of this pennant, and then may do another retrace down, or if things get hot and heavy in crypto space, it could just blow through that and rock. So, but I think there's a lot of good upside to this. So if you're looking for an alternative play, speculative play, I think this is a good one, good price action, and a good level to look at. That's pretty much it. It's going to wrap up our crypto update for the 9th. And so again, I think all systems go for the month of August, and we'll be pointing out some oversold, overbought condition short term on these coins, and any other news that comes up. Other than that, guys, have a great trading day, and be careful out there. Crypto can be crazy. All right, guys, take care. Bye.